This is Mr. TG for your last video, number 4 of section 4.4. We are factoring. In this case, we got two problems that we're presented with, and they are trinomials again, but each one of these has a unique characteristic that makes it a little bit more challenging. Their A term is higher than 1. So there's more possibilities to factor these, and certainly one option here, and what we're trying to do here again is factor this into two binomials. You can certainly try and guess and check your way through this and see if you can come up with the factors that will equal this trinomial. You're welcome to try, but I'm going to show you a technique called factoring. It's by grouping, and it works pretty well, especially for the people that struggle with these types of trinomials. So here's what we do first. You take and you multiply your A and your B and your C term together. So we're going to take A times C, which in this case is 4 times 5, which is 20. So that's your starting part. What we're going to do after that is we're going to factor 20 down as many ways as we can, which is 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 4 times 5. What you are looking for are factors of 20 that add up to be 21. And as you can see, we would use 1 times 20. Because 1 times 20 is 20, and 1 plus 20 is 21. So then what we do with that is we rewrite our trinomial so it looks like this. 4x squared plus, now we're going to break that 21 down into 1x and 20x, which I think we all know is the same thing as 21x plus 5. So again, all I've done here is I've taken this 21, the middle term here, and broke it down with the factors of 20. And remember, 20 was found by taking A times C. Next, we group the first two terms and the last two terms. And we look for a common factor. If I look at this first term and the second term, I'm going to factor out a GCF, a common factor. There is no number that's in common. 4 and 1 have no common factor other than 1, but there's an x. So I'm going to factor an x out, leaving me with 4x plus 1. That would be what's left inside, and always multiply it together again to make sure it equals that. X times 4x is 4x squared, x times 1 is 1x. The common factor for the last two terms here would be 5. That goes into 20, and 5 goes into 20, and 5 goes into 5. That's the highest number. There is no variable in common. You don't have to have a variable in your GCF, so it'd be x, and we need a 4 there, plus 1. We need a 1 there, so when we multiply it by 5, we get the 20x plus 5. So 5 times 4x is 20x. 5 times 1 is 5. Now, if you're successful here, you'll notice that these two binomials are the same. And for this to work, that must happen. So then we bring over 4x plus 1. You list that just once. Then you take over your two GCFs, x plus 5, and list that as your other binomial. And you will find, if we FOIL this, you will find that it equals this trinomial. X times 4x is 4x squared. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 and 4x is 20x, plus 1x is 21x. So we successfully factor this. So again, this is factoring by grouping. It's a process you can always use when this A term is greater than 1. Now I'd like to have you see if you can factor number 8. And I'll put it on pause, and let's see how far you get with this whole process. Okay, welcome back. I have my answer circled here, and I haven't checked it yet, so we'll check it together. But first, let's walk through the process again. Again, this whole process of factoring this trinomial when A is bigger than 1, that's when we trigger this event. We take A times C. That's what I did over here. 3 times negative 5. That gave me a negative 15. Then I listed all the ways in which I could get factors of a negative 15. Multiplying two numbers together, that will give me a negative 15. And I noticed that of all these possibilities, I'm going to use, let's highlight this in red, I'm going to use 1 and negative 15. The reason being is because 1 plus a negative 15 is negative 14. So I rewrote negative 14 as 1x and negative 15x, which gives me a negative 14. Then I grouped the first two terms and the last two terms. Then I factored an x out of the first two terms. That's the GCF there. And x comes out of the 3x squared and becomes 3x. X comes out of the 1x becomes 1. And watch out here, you got a couple of negatives. What I did was I grouped the negative 15x minus 5 and factored out a negative 5. And when I did that, I came up with my 3x plus 1. Just remember, these binomials must match for this technique to work. And that essentially becomes one of your binomials in your answer. Your two GCFs, x minus 5, become the other answer. And if you check this, x times 3x is 3x squared. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. The inner term is negative 15x. The outer terms, 1x, which together makes a negative 14x. So we can be confident that this is going to work. So hopefully that went well for you. Basically, this is the finale of factoring. It's going to take a lot of practice on your part, and keep in mind that not all trinomials are factorable. For example, if I had x squared plus 3x plus, let's say, 7, this is a prime trinomial. You can't factor it. There's no factors of 7 that add up to be 3. So this factoring technique is limited, but it is very useful, and it's a nice shortcut that we're going to use later in the chapter. But first we have to get better at the factoring technique. So hopefully you will, and good luck, and let me know if I can help you in any way. Thank you.